Today I want to talk about Mars in Scorpio. So Mars went into Scorpio on the 22nd of September, and I don't know with you guys if you felt that something restless, you felt some energy, or something that you didn't want to put up with anymore. Maybe there were a few more confrontations. So let's break it down. So Mars is, of course, fire, and it's about being courageous, going after what you want. It's protecting yourself and your own interests. It's about protecting your loved ones. It's about going for what you desire, what you think you need, and what you want. And when Mars enters into Scorpio, it will take the flavor of that sign. So when you have Mars is anyway in traditional rulership, it's the ruler of Scorpio. So it feels quite at home here. And but it's a different kind of flavor I get for the Scorpio, because so Mars would not go in waving a sword when it goes through Scorpio. If you want to go and get something, you will be more a strategist. You'll be planning. It's more like a chess game where you're looking at the competition, you're looking at the other party's next move to see when you're going to come in and make the most impact. And so it takes a bit the flavor of being observant before you make your move, not being too spontaneous, holding back and trying to get in the full picture and the consequence and the outcome. So what happened when Mars goes through Scorpio? Are we all going to change our tactic, and now we're all going to be strategists, and we're going to go, observing and making our moves in a more thoughtful way? Or are we going to just abandon our Mars sign? Our natal Mars sign will for sure have an influence on our individual way of going about what we want. So before we go any further, I like to just go through some very simple slides with some code words that you can think about a little bit. You can use this Mars in Scorpio. So if you are usually a little timid with your Mars placement, you might use this time to really go for it and really be a bit more courageous and be a little bit more clear and about what you want. So let's have a little quick run through the 12 signs. Let's see if I can share my screen. Here we go. So I have here Mars in the 12 signs. It's all about our drive. It's our masculine yang type of energy that we all have, and it's being expressed in different ways depending on where Mars is in our natal chart. And of course, it will also say something about the house, what other planets are aspecting your natal Mars, but this is not what I'm going to go through here. I will just take a more general approach. So let's start with Aries. So usually Mars in Aries is very direct, impulsive, brave, and it would just not shun from taking direct action and show its cards. It's about being brave. It's about being impulsive. It's about not want to hang around, going straight for what you want. So when you at the same time have this energy from the transiting Mars going through Scorpio, this could add a bit of strategy, a bit of patience for you. So instead of going so direct and spontaneous towards your goal, you might think a bit about being more precise, what you want. Just be aware you can be irritable, you can be frustrated, because normally you want to go the straight way. But depending on what you want in life and what you're going for right now, what is important for you right now, it might be a good idea to check in with this kind of energy and see if you can be a little bit more strategic about what you want. Let's go on to Taurus. So we know that Taurus is ruled by Venus. So already there you would say something about Taurus being more okay, let's think about what other people want as well, although it can be for sure very persistent and stubborn on what it wants. So Taurus is very much resource protective. So this fits in with, you know, you will really protect your property and things that are valuable to you. So when you have Mars in Scorpio, you might be pushed to act a little bit more with urgency, because normally Taurus will take its sweet time to get to where you want to go. But here you might feel, okay, I feel I need to act more now and I don't want to wait. So it can feel a little bit of like a tension for Taurus, because they do not like to be pushed. And they go, in my own time, thank you very much. But there might still be this little extra urge to push forward. Next, we have Gemini. Usually Gemini will be quick. The Mars in Gemini is quick. It's with word. They can be quick on the trigger. They can, you know, be persuasive, and they can be adaptable, and they're good with communication. They're quick. They get the point, and so on. But with Mars, they might think a little bit about less chatter, less gossip, more probing, more asking questions to get the full picture and to use that strategy of Mars in Scorpio. So next we have Mars in Cancer. Here we have keywords, you know, they are ruling from the moon. They are more emotional, they are family oriented, they are very protective of not so much property, but who they love, especially their family, can be extremely protective and go a long way and go out of even their character of just because it's so important for them to be protective of their loved ones. You have a real loyal friend there with Mars in Cancer, or family member. So with Mars in Scorpio, that will sort of intensify that protective instinct you have. And, you know, it can even come to the point of being controlling, just because, you know, you sense a danger when it comes to your loved ones, and you can be very controlling. So there might be an opportunity, though, for emotional healing through being a bit more decisive when you take action on something that's important to you. So instead of waiting to see how things play out, with Mars in Scorpio, you might actually feel, okay, I'm gonna go for it now. Next we have Mars in Leo. Of course, Leo is a fire sign. It's a fixed sign, so they can be bold, expressive. They're very proud, and they hold on to what they believe is theirs. And so with Leo, so Mars in Scorpio, that combination, there might be more drama. There'd be more, you know, because things get everything about Mars and Leo get more intensified. But it could also be here, use your charisma, use your charm, and everything you got in order to get what you want. With Leo, Mars in Leo and Mars in Scorpio, here is, you know, basically a double Leo. So it can be very dramatic, can be very entertaining as well. You can just almost imagine two male Leos sort of eyeing each other up and figuring out who has the strength. That's the image that comes to me anyway. Let's think about Mars in Virgo. Here we have keywords like Mars in Virgo is very precise, analytical, very efficient. You know, if you have Mars in Virgo, you will get things done. You will get organized. You will get things just completed. And when you then have Mars in Scorpio, there will be even more of the detailed focus. It can almost be a little bit obsession. You know, anything that's, you know, planets in Scorpio touch, it can tilt over and become a little bit obsessive as well, for better or for worse. But here you can see that laser focus from Mars in Scorpio, sort of teaming up with Mars in Virgo. You can be quick, sharp, you can see right through things, but perhaps as well a little too critical, both with self and with others. Mars in Libra. Here we have, you know, it's team again with Venus, because the ruler of Libra is Venus. So, you know, you have a little bit more fair-minded, diplomatic approach to Mars. So even though Mars would like what it wants when it wants it, it still has to consider the other. And so sometimes people with Mars in Libra, they become super negotiators. I always think of example as Margaret Thatcher. She had Mars in Libra, and she was apparently extremely good at getting what she wanted. She had that approach where she knew what she wanted, and she pretended that everybody had their say, but in the end she got her will. I don't know if this it doesn't apply to everybody with Mars in Libra, but I just remember her as you know, she was called the Iron Lady for other reasons as well. But anyway, so Mars in Libra, they are concerned about fairness. They're about diplomatic negotiations and being, you know, straight to the point. So with Mars in Scorpio, they might be more pressured to act and to be more decisive. And that's not something very natural for Libra, because they like to hear all sides and they like to be fair, essentially. And so that might, you know, they can be indecisive. And that's why sometimes Libra signs are a little bit accused of, you know, make up your mind, you can't have it both ways. And that's what sometimes Mars in Libra or any Libra signs, they want to have it both ways, because they need to weigh up for and against before they make the decision. So sometimes they are naturally indecisive, or they postpone the actual decision. But with Mars in Scorpio, there might be a little push to actually make the right decision, or make the decision. I say to myself, make the decision and make it the right one as far as you can. And Mars in Scorpio, if you already have Mars in Scorpio, you'll feel right at home here with Mars transiting Mars in Scorpio. So it's already, as I mentioned, strategic, intense, quite relentless, and can be also quite, you know, pushy in getting what they want. It's almost like you take the courage of Mars, and then you take Scorpio's insistence on getting something their way. And when you pair that, you can have, you know, very relentless kind of energy. I also should have mentioned, you know, Mars in Scorpio is also about power. It can be power. So each sign, of course, have the higher expression of the qualities and a bit of the lower one. And some of the lower one is you can get into like power battles and, you know, different opinions where you can butt heads a bit. So that shadow side of losing control, which is something that Scorpio do not like. Scorpios, they do not like to lose control or have the sense that they're losing control. Is something about security. So here they can be very triggered if things are not going their way. Then we have Mars in Sagittarius. Of course, Sagittarius is known for being adventurous, truth-seeking, but also risk-taking. And, you know, Sagittarius are the ever optimist. And how can we just take a risk and it's probably going to work out well? And not always, right? So here with Mars in Scorpio, you might feel the need to do a little investigation and a little research before making your big, bold decision. Sagittarius are used to being spontaneous, sometimes not bothering with all the details, but trying to look at the big picture. So here with Mars in Scorpio, they would need to have a little bit more information, usually, because they want to be a bit more strategic. So maybe that will come a little bit down this this spontaneity and this bold decision making. So here we have Mars in Capricorn. So usually Mars in Capricorn, they're very ambitious, they are very disciplined, and they are naturally strategic themselves, but in a different way than Scorpio. If you think about the goat, the mountain goat that is like the symbol of Capricorn, you think about, you know, how the goat would go to a new plateau and it looks very difficult to get up there, but then they will stay there a little while and check out, where's my next move. It's slow because it's also dangerous, because they go to new heights that they've not been before. So it is very well paired with Mars and Scorpio, because Scorpio adds passion, Capricorn has persistence, and they become quite unstoppable and maybe even ruthless. Because Capricorn, Mars in Capricorn is a little bit, they are a little bit able to put feelings to the side, because when they go for a goal, they go really for the goal and they don't want any distractions. Then we have Mars in Aquarius. So Mars in Aquarius are typical the innovator, the freelancer, or the entrepreneur. They're very idealistic. They like to rebel, sometimes just for rebellion's sake. So they like to feel different. And with Mars in Aquarius, you definitely want to put your own stamp on something. You don't want to be like everybody else. So with Mars in Scorpio mixed with Mars in Aquarius, you can maybe sharpen a little bit your rebellions. You know, you might be even more brave about it. But you might also be more tactical, and you can quite likely focus more on powerful causes, groups that you're part of that you would have an impact on, you know, idealistic gatherings, or like groups that you belong with. And this might be your point where you really want to go in with a new intensity and a new conviction of new ideas and a way forward. And finally, we have Mars in Pisces. So Mars in Pisces is usually more gentle. It's not so efficient in Pisces, because Pisces is very dreamy and is very idealistic. It's very intuitive. So it wouldn't just forge ahead. It would really consider, what is good for the for the greater good, not just for me, but what works for the group. And so it's usually a bit more spiritual. So Mars in Scorpio, you might feel that you're a little bit more effective with what you want, and you might feel that you can put firepower to intuition, because there is a lot of firepower in Mars in Scorpio. So rather than being inefficient with what you want, that can sometimes happen with Mars in Pisces, because they spend so much time in going different direction and thinking about everybody else and nothing gets done. So here, your empathy can, if there's something you really want, you can still use your natural empathy, but you can also be more decisive and taking more action. So this was a few ideas that we can consider with our own natal Mars placements, and to look at Mars going through Scorpio. And it's worth it to think about, since we talk about Scorpio as, focused, brave, and also transformative. So I thought about, how can you use this intensity to transform something that's really important for you right now? So I hope that you found this useful. If you'd like to leave a comment with where your Mars is in your natal chart, what's been going on, if you had any sort of things happening in terms of confrontation, acting a little bit more out of your ordinary self in the regards with Mars, taking action, going for what you want, what you desire, it'd be great to hear, and if you want to share. So thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate all of you, and I wish you a great Saturday. So take care.